Hey folks, I know you were really hoping for Rototiller Part 2, but although as mundane as this video may be, stick around to the end. You're going to enjoy it, I guarantee it, and you might even get some goosebumps. Greetings folks, welcome back to the Tractor Fella Show, where we know nothing about tractors, and where it's Botswana hot. On today's episode, we're going to take a look at this beautiful water gliding machine, and try to figure out why the entire contents of the power steering pump are in the engine bay. You know what BOAT stands for, right? Break out another 1,000. Step 1, remove the engine cover. Step 2, admire the beautiful Mercuiser. Nice and clean, well maintained. Step 3, observe power steering contents in the bottom of the engine bay. One thing we can rule out, I would say, is the seal on the power steering pump, because had it failed, the entire engine bay, as well as the cover, would be absolutely drenched in power steering fluid. We have 2 screws, one there, one there. We're going to pop those off and remove the entire engine cover. Cushions. Screwdriver. Screwdrive. I got to get a stubby. Stubby acquired. I think I missed a vital part here. Hey, look, you can get a screwdriver in there. Yeah, unfortunately, so this ripped out a long time ago, and I re-drilled it, and that's trying to rip out too. So some things just seems like they didn't build robust enough. The small block of glory has been revealed. Now, what we have to hope for is that we can find the leak relatively easily. That's the only access I have to climb behind the engine. And behind the engine is where the steering rack is. So this could go easily. Traffic. Honestly. I filled this reservoir up to see if it would... Oh, it is. Is it holding? No, it's not. It's bone dry. So we know it's leaking somewhere that does not require any pressure. You're probably bored already, but I want to take a look at a couple things here. All right, so high pressure line. This is what feeds our rack, right? Okay, it's dry. Low pressure line, this is the return, I'm assuming, that comes back from the rack. So with any luck, this rubber line is what's leaking. What is driving down the road? You would never know I lived in a rural community. Rural. Does anyone else have trouble saying that? Rural. Let's go down. You guys are going to have to keep your eyes out for me. So there's that soft line right there. You see anything? Because I can't see a dang thing. Oh, good. Focus is just... Thank you. It's going super well. So that rubber line that we're looking at here, where does it end? Because from feeling underneath, it felt like it went to a cooler or something. Is that what's happening? I can't see a dang thing. I'm relying on you. Does it go to a cooler? My other thought had been just take the frickin' belt off and don't use power steering. That's got to be what's happening. So the fluid comes out of the high pressure line. Comes back here. All right, I'm wiggling it. Goes back. Back there, Mr. Goodyear. Goes down here by the spark plug wires. Comes up over to the rack. How do things look at the rack? They look pretty good, actually. It's glossy, but it's not wet. A little more residue. A little bit of residue, but I mean, that's not indicative. Listen to that fancy word. It's not indicative of a massive leak, right? Okay, there's a big greasy goo pile. Oh, that's because there's a grease zerk right here. Man, I gotta hand it to the guys that winterized this thing for my dad. They did a good job. Quick history on Aaron's Way, that is quite literally what the boat is called. Oh, by the way, cheers. My parents bought this boat brand new in 1988. It's a 23-foot Sea Ray with 260 screaming horses of Chevy V8 power. So I just realized I can take off the battery cover, get a little more access under there. Comes back here, so this is a cooler. Power steering line itself looks good. Do we just need to re-terminate that, in essence? There's the outlet that goes back to the pump. Let's check for wetness right there. You guys see? I don't want to drop you in the fluid. That would be bad. All right, so I wiped down the power steering cooler. There is what appears to be some wetness in there. Okay, well, the big question now, is the cooler cracked or is it the lines? So I'm going to do the right thing, get some power steering fluid, put it in there, and then we're going to watch. And we're going to hope it's not the cooler itself. You guys remember the FVP, the frickin' Victory Performance? Oh, it's red like ATF. What do you know? ATF is hydraulic fluid. That should be more than enough to start spilling everywhere. Is that it? This is exhausting and super boring. This thing is leaking fast, very fast. And the fact that I haven't found it yet. Where's it frickin' leaking? Unless it's leaking internally into the cooling system. No, that's it. It's the line. My hand is soaked. You see it? I'd reach out and touch it, but I can't. But right off of that fitting is a bunch of fluid running down the side there, and I just cleaned it off. There, you can see kind of a bubble running down the side. I think we found our culprit. This is one of those situations where you see it on YouTube and you're like, oh man, there's tons of space. But in reality, no, there is no space. Okay, so I'm going to pinch off the other hose. All right, pinched. Big question, will it stop leaking? Let's go ahead and wipe that off. I'm going to do the reach around. Man, I got to hand it to you guys that work on boats for a living. It's not ergonomic. Not ergonomic at all. It's been a while. I do not see any leaks. So what I'm going to do is unthread that little ring clamp, worm clamp, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to see if I can pull the line off. I'm going to snip some new flesh. We're going to clamp it back on there. We're going to call it a day. Or at least an afternoon. So the clamp is up and out of the way. Let's see if we can pull that hose off. So out of breath. All that screw turning was just very difficult. Oh, please don't be the fitting. Just please be the hose. This is where I need that finger crossing. It's like clapping for Tinkerbell. Clap your hands if you believe it's the hose. Clap if you believe. I believe it's the hose. I decided to use my brain, which I know I don't do a whole lot. And hey, look at that. Screw, 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 screw. So before I compound fracture my arm trying to get in there and pop that hose off, I'm going to go ahead and pop these screws off. Well, would you just look at all of that space? Isn't this a great day? It is a great day. It's turning out to be a good one. One of my viewers... Can I call you that? My viewers? It feels not right. Anyway, one of my commenters said, every day when you're 70 is a great day. Well, my friend, you are a fantastic human being. Thank you for your positivity. So there's still oil coming out of this thing, and it's probably residual from what's coming back from the rack. At least that's what I'm gonna go with. I know you can't see anything. I'm just trying to pop off this frickin' hose. It's only been on here since 1988. Oh, I think my elbow just exploded. I'm gonna need an elbowotomy. Is that a thing? Well, if it wasn't, it is now. Making any progress, or am I just mutilating the line? Not that I care at this point, I just want the freaking thing off. Unbelievable. Oh, finally. Holy crap. Where's all the freaking oil coming from? From the rack. You know what? Who cares? Drain the tube into the engine bay. Let's go ahead and cut ourselves some new line. I think just over time, it's probably degraded a bit. New line cut. Don't ask me what precision tools I used to cut that new piece of line. Someone told me these worm clamps are one use only. Well, this one's heavier duty than anything I have, so I'm definitely going to reuse it. Get that little guy back on its home. Ouch. Owie. Oh man, that is hella difficult to get on there. Do people even say hella anymore? Probably not. We'll have to ask Macklemore. What size do you think it is? I think it's an 8. Oh yeah. Also, if you think I got that right the first time, well, that's the beauty of editing. Oh, this is gonna be great. Yes, it is. Oh. Oh no. That's it's good rust protection, right? Went ahead and tightened that clamp down. Is it still leaking? I think we have a hole right there. I'm pretty sure it's cracked. Right at the power steering cooler. So I successfully removed the line on the other side of the power steering cooler. My camera is just coated in power steering fluid right now. And by camera, I mean my phone. Here we go. There's your water supply, I believe. All right, folks, I'm slowly losing my mind. It turns out that the strap that is holding on the power steering cooler is actually integrated into the engine mount. So there's the strap. The strap goes up, and there's the bolt to get the strap out. That hour actually turned out to be just a few minutes. There's a big washer that goes on first. Then the bracket that holds the power steering cooler goes on second, and then your bolt and your lock washer goes on third. Luckily, I looked at it with the camera first, otherwise I probably would have lost that big washer. All right, I've got the cooler stood up straight. I'm taking this video pretty much for myself. I have the cooler upright, I have the hose twisted a bit. Here is how the strap goes on. You guys ever get frustrated? Like really frustrated? And then you keep on trucking, right? That's what we gotta do. We gotta stay positive, not focus on the fact that it sucked. And we're back for another day. A little more optimistic today. Hopefully. Not really. Maybe. Titan! Honest to goodness. As I was saying, got multiple phone call. Let's pressure check it. See if we can find a way to do that. Okay. Thank you. Check out this ridiculous setup. I don't have any hose that fits the outer diameter, so I found some line that fits the inner diameter here, crammed it in there. And also on the other end, I have the line crammed into the tip of the air gun. Air gun is pinched, ready to go. Got my spray bottle, my finger plugger. Why am I using carb spray? Well, you guys, I don't think it's cracked. Are we leaking the stem? Other than where my thumb can't pinch. For the amount of volume that was coming out when this thing was leaking fluid, I'm fairly certain we would see a significant crack somewhere. I'm happy that we took the time to take this off and diagnose it. I'm irritated that I went through all that work and this thing's in good health. I'm happy that I don't have to drop 150 bucks. Anyway, that's what the inner diameter looks like. I believe that the power steering fluid flows through this inner tube and the shell of that tube, and then the water from the lake or wherever you're driving flows through and cools it. I believe they call that a tube-in-tube cooler. Kind of makes sense, right? All right, well, I'm glad I took the time to test this and not just throw parts at it. My steering, suspension, brakes, and teacher I really liked in school called that the linebacker blitz, where you just chuck parts at it hoping to fix it without actually diagnosing anything. You know what? We're going to do one more test. A little soapy water probably isn't bad for this workbench. Oh, Seriously? It's really cool when you go to take your power steering fluid off the shelf and the top has, by some magical force, decided to blow open. And you pour it all down your arm. Anyway, all I wanted to do was fill this up with power steering fluid, let it sit overnight, and see if something comes out. Who knows, maybe we'll find a crack that we didn't see before. Alright, we'll leave that be. Let's go work on the rototiller. Welcome back, folks. It's a new day. Top this baby off, let it sit for a couple days, and it's still, although that looks empty, it's actually right up, oh, there you go. Yep. Right up to the top, right up to the top. Cooler's fine. Let's go reinstall it sometime soon, when I get a minute. Alright, bye. Welcome back, folks. It's a new day, and it's a beautiful day, although the storm may or may not be rolling in, so we're going to have to do this quick. I'm going to take this beautiful power steering cooler that I've done absolutely nothing with, and we're going to go ahead and just throw a ton of hose clamps on this and see if it seals out the leak, because this thing is not the cause of the leak. I'll see you in about, I don't know, 3, 2, 1. Hose clamp. Cooler. Alright. Tuck that little guy right back into its home. There's the cooler. Now I'm going to tighten the hose clamp down. Really not exciting. I think we did pretty good. I double clamped both. The idea was to clamp on top and below the flare on the fitting. Nope. No, not good view. So I looked at a picture and the strap should be on the back side, which it is. It's on backward. Is it on backward? It's on backward. Unbelievable. I even took a frickin' picture. How does this happen? I had to pull this all back off, slide the clamp off, put in the little bolt on the back side for tensioning it, and now it's time to add some power steering fluid. See if we get some leaks. I just poured a whole bunch of power steering fluid in the power steering reservoir. Do we see any leaks? Will this turn out to be one of the best days ever? Oh boy, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to go ahead and put that clamp back on the engine mount. Holy smokes. That brass bolt right there, that probably took me an hour to get threaded. And I'm not even joking. I had to use all my force to push it in there, and then I thought it would get started, and then it would fall right back out. And I dug it out of this trench I don't know how many times, and I don't know how I did not lose the washer on the other side. So, we have good news and we have more good news. The first good news is that there is no fluid leaking out of this power steering cooler. The other good news is we get to fire up this 350 with 260 horses of fury and listen to it sing. Listen to how quiet that engine is. We are officially reassembled, and we are ready to go do some cruising. Now, the next question is, how do I get all that fluid out of there? Well, you see, there's this little guy right here.